Hello, welcome to the channel. I'm Savannah, and today I'm letting you in on my Poshmark shopping secrets. I am an avid shopper and seller on Poshmark. I'm a Poshmark Ambassador, which means I have a certain amount of sales under my belt. I have nearly 600 sales and I have hundreds of purchases. In fact, most of my wardrobe, I would say 3/4 of my wardrobe, I have purchased on Poshmark. I have logged so many hours on this app, you guys. I'm here to share with you all of my sneaky little secrets. Also, if you've watched any of my other videos, you would know that I'm a minimalist, but I'm a minimalist who loves clothes. And when I do shop, my absolute favorite way to shop is secondhand. I really view my wardrobe as this evolving, living, breathing thing. And I love to experiment with my style. I bring new things into my life and sometimes they don't work. That's why I love Poshmark. I buy things and I sell things and it just keeps going round and round in a beautiful circle. So let's get into it. These are my 5 best tips and tricks for getting a deal on Poshmark. Tip number 1 is utilize those filters. My first few years on Poshmark, I don't think I hardly used filters at all. You may not know this, especially if you're a new Poshmark user, but what shows up on your Poshmark feed is actually what was most recently shared. And that doesn't benefit you a ton as a shopper. This actually benefits the sellers because if they're really active, their items pop up to the top of your feed. I don't really care as a shopper what was most recently shared. What I want to find is something that's relevant to my search. So you actually can filter by the relevancy. So you will find items that more closely match the exact keywords of your search. I find that when I use this relevance filter, it helps me find an item so much more quickly, especially when I'm looking for something really specific. Another go-to filter of mine is just in, especially if you're looking at a brand, not looking for anything specific. And also I really like to play with that price range, whatever my max is for the item I'm looking for. That way I'm not flooded by a bunch of items that are out of my price range. Another great filter, and this is especially good for those girlies who aren't super into thrifting yet, you're just dipping your toes in the water, you can actually click new with tags. I found that these items are often things that people have bought and maybe they missed the return window or they thought they would wear it and then they never wore it. This is an amazing way to get a brand new item, an item that was never worn. And for me, the filter and sort combination that I always use, it's my daily go-to, is actually going into a brand that you really like and then filter by new in and set my price range parameters. And I'll even pop into a subcategory where I already have my sizing set up so that I'm quickly seeing all of the new in items that are in my price range and in my size. It makes shopping so much faster. Tip number 2 is bundle for a discount, also to make the shipping fee worth it. The shipping fee with Poshmark currently is between $7 and $8. They ship through USPS and it's 2-day priority shipping, which is great. I find that the shipping is really dependable. And if you're new to Poshmark, I feel like bundling is a foreign concept, something you're a little intimidated by, but it is truly so simple. Don't be intimidated. All you're doing is adding multiple things into your basket from one seller. That way you're just paying for shipping once instead of multiple times from multiple other sellers. A majority of sellers, especially big sellers, typically offer a bundle discount. So it's usually 2 or 3 or more items are going to be 10% off or 15% off or 20% off. It totally just depends on the seller. And you can find what that seller's bundle deal percentage off is just by going into their profile. This is a really good tactic if you want a super expensive item out of their closet. Let's say you want something for $300. You could buy something else that's just $10 or $20. And if they have a 2-item bundle percentage off, you'll get the 20% off the entire purchase, more or less getting that other item for free and then some. Another really good tip I have for getting good deals on bundles or just finding shops with low priced items. When you're scrolling and you see an item that's marked really, really low, for instance, a Madewell sweater, I would say a lightly used Madewell sweater goes for around $40 on Poshmark. If you see a listing for a sweater that's new with tags or lightly used and it's like $15 or $20, even if I don't like that sweater, I'll go into that seller's shop and see what else they have. Because if they have one item that's priced really low, they'll often have other good items that are priced lower and they may be in styles and sizes that better fit what you're looking for. And I find that these are typically people who are doing a closet clear out. They just want to get this stuff out of their house and they're happy to just get some money back for it. Another great place to bundle is actually through fashion bloggers. Maybe you know a specific blogger that has listed their Poshmark page. I found that I just naturally discover them. They typically have a lot of fast fashion brands like Zara, Princess Polly, a ton of trendy pieces that I wouldn't buy directly from the store. But if I can buy them secondhand, they're already out there in the world, I can give them a new lease on life. And typically I found that these bloggers have only worn the items once for a photo shoot. They're nearly in perfect condition and they're almost always gifted the pieces, so they're comfortable selling them at a really low price that you can take advantage of. Tip number 3, and this is getting into my sneaky tactics. This is finding the product in a different listing. Let's say you stumble upon an item that you absolutely love, but you feel like the price is a little outrageous, especially given the fact that you can't make a return. Poshmark does not accept returns. Of course, if you receive something and it was inaccurately described, Poshmark will support you and give you your money back. But generally speaking, there are no returns. So for me, I like to mitigate that risk by purchasing my items for the lowest price possible in case I have to resell them or unload them because they don't fit me or they're not what I expected them to be. So let's say you're browsing and you actually come across this sweater, but someone has it listed for $80, which is not what the sweater costs, but let's say it's an $80 sweater, but you don't want to pay that. I would recommend going to find another listing from a regular Joe Schmo. These bigger sellers with huge shops, they can get away with asking for a lot more. They have the credibility, they have the great images, and they'll have the product name in the description. This sweater, I have no idea what the name of it was, probably just pink sweater, but let's call it the Zoe. Looks like a Zoe, right? But a regular person, a person that picked this up once it was on sale at Nordstrom Rack, or maybe they thrifted it, they have no idea the name, so they're not going to include it in the description. But of course you can type in Zoe and see if anybody else happens to know the name. But I found that you get much better prices if you purchase it from someone that doesn't know the name. So what I would do to find another listing of this sweater is to first input the brand name, type in cardigan, and then I would filter just pink sweaters. And if it's a bigger brand with a ton of products like Zara or Gap, I would probably add in a little bit more detail beyond just cardigan to narrow things down. I might put in something about the jewel buttons. I have used this strategy so many times and have found really great pieces at a fraction of the original list. Another little sneaky tip is actually searching typos. I was looking for sequin dresses for New Year's Eve a few years ago, and I found out there is a small group of people that think the word sequins is sequence. Which made me LOL for quite a bit. And then I got to work, I searched the word sequins, and wow, there are so many sequins dresses on Poshmark, and they were dresses hardly any other people had found yet because there was a misspelling. So if you can get creative and look for other misspellings, that's a great way to discover some gems. Another sneaky tip for finding a cheaper version of a listing that you're looking at is to mess with the brands. For example, Anthropologie, Aritzia, they have a ton of brands under their umbrella. So let's say the Maeve brand for Anthropologie. Sometimes I'll find the Maeve items under the Anthropologie brand, and then some people will just list the Maeve items as Maeve as the brand. So that's another method. You can search around and get creative to find the items you're looking for. And if you are a highly determined person and a little crazy like me, I have a really good tip for you. I have even gone to the lengths of looking into the sold items and then reaching out to someone and asking if they would sell that item to me because I didn't like the price of the active listings for sale. So that's a really good tip if you're looking for something that's sold out or you can't find it anywhere. A lot of times people buy things and they're just sitting in their closet and they're not wearing them anymore. So if a strange person reaches out and says, hey, I'll give you money for this thing, they don't wear it, they may be down. For my situation, I was looking for a very specific t-shirt that I wanted to wear on my honeymoon. There was one listing on Poshmark and the t-shirt was listed for $100. It's a t-shirt. So I went and found someone who had bought it for I think $20 or less. And I said, hey, can I buy this from you? And I figured they'd sell it because you only get married once. Do you really need a just meowied shirt with 2 cats on it? Yeah, that's the shirt. And I got it and I wore it and then I resold it. Tip number 4, and this one may seem obvious, but I don't know if everybody does it. It is to make an offer. Sellers are on Poshmark to sell. They want to get rid of these clothes and they want money in their pocket. So of course, don't go lowballing. I would say lowballing is like 30% off, 40% off. But for me, I'm comfortable asking for 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. It just totally depends on the item. Always be respectful when you're making an offer. Another tip I have for making offers is to do a little detective work on how long the listing has been up. If a seller posted the listing today, it's probably unlikely that they're willing to come down on the price. But if a listing has been up in their shop for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, they are going to be much more likely to let it go at a lower price. Similar to any retail store, they need to get product out of their shop, they throw it on the clearance rack. So when I go into a listing, I'll look at the latest date that they updated it, and that usually gives me a pretty good read on how long the listing has been up and informs how low I want my offer to be. And as I mentioned, I'm always trying to get the lowest price possible. So what I do is I come up with a number in my head, and this is the number I would pay at an actual secondhand store. Because I know when we're online shopping, we get excited, we build up the hype around this item, but we don't know if it's even going to fit or if it's going to feel like what we think it is. And once I have that number, I'll put the offer on the table. And through experience, I found that most sellers will accept all reasonable offers. Maybe they'll counter back with you. And if they counter, I don't recommend countering back and forth a bunch of times and nickeling and diming someone. I really only counter back and forth in $5, $10 increments. I would never use $1 increments. It's just really petty and not fun for the seller. And sometimes a seller doesn't reply at all, and that's totally okay. Maybe they didn't see your offer, or they just think it's really low and they don't have the time to reply to it. And that's okay. When it comes to making offers, accepting offers, as a shopper, as a seller, I really leave all of the emotions out of it. I never write comments asking for favors or asking for a special deal. I like the communication to strictly live in that offer box and just stick straight to the numbers, leaving the emotions out of it. And tip number 5 is to check the seller stats. You can go into any seller's profile and see a bit of information about them. You can see their star ratings. You can see the amount of days they take to ship. I like to go in and read their recent love notes as well. These are just comments or messages written by their recent purchasers, and themes I really like to see in someone's love notes: item as described, item better than described, fast shipper, great packaging. And the more love notes they have, the more confident I feel about making a purchase through this person. So if they have 5, I think that's enough to gather a general theme. If they have 20, even better. And if they have 100+ love notes that are all glowing, I would feel really, really good about purchasing from that person. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with purchasing from someone with 0 reviews. This could be someone that just posted all of their clothes from a closet clear out. Just know that there is risk with that because you don't know who this person is. No one has vouched for them yet. And Poshmark does protect you if for some reason you get the item and it's damaged or not as described. So sometimes I will take a gamble with someone with no reviews or less reviews. I've actually found some of my best pieces that way. Also, watch out for fake designer stuff. I'm not a designer person, so I don't have a ton of experience here, but Poshmark is not the place that I would go and buy designer items. I would purchase them through the Real or other secondhand places that really verify if something is designer. I think there's a ton of fake stuff on Poshmark. I don't know that for certain, but I wouldn't trust that any designer items are authentic. That's why I personally like to stick to lower priced items. Those are all of my Posh shopping secrets. Whether you are brand new to Poshmark or have been shopping for a bit and just want to fine tune those skills, I hope that my tips and tricks help you shop smarter, shop faster, and save some money. And if you happen to have any Poshmark shopping tips that I did not mention in this video, please leave them below. I would love to hear them, and I know everyone else would love to read them too. You can always become a better Poshmark shopper. If you enjoyed today's video, please give it a like, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. I would love to have you here. I'll catch you guys in my next video. I post minimalism and intentional living content every week. And until then, have a fun day. Bye.